So no crap, there I was. It was about, I don't know, noon, Friday last, the 26th of May. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna put the engine in my car. That's right, man. I put the RB in the Z, man. And here was the first tweet. Oh snap, here we go. BC doing the work. So it began a weekend long of getting this engine into the car. And guys, here we are, man. And it looks sick nasty. Oh, yeah. Guys, oh. But let me tell you what, this whole project has not been without, I wouldn't say complications, but lessons learned. Lessons learned. We're going to talk about some of those things, about where we're at right now in the project, and about what's next. The one main goal that I had in mind this entire time trying to get this engine into the car was I didn't want to cut the radiator core support. Like, that was extremely important to me. There's some tack welds that exist right in this area here, and a lot of people go ahead and they cut the radiator core support out, and they have the RB and the transmission together, and then they go ahead and they put it all in as one piece. And I did not want to do that. Now, taking the measurements from the back of the firewall to the radiator core support, this thing was actually way too long to have the flywheel on and to have the crank pulley on. So I had to have no flywheel and no crank pulley and put all that on once it actually got in here. And it was seriously a matter of millimeters, man. So back here, there's actually a lot more room than there is with the VG inside. And up in the front though, that's where we really don't have the room. Of course, there's no way we're gonna be able to put a fan here at all. You can see the limited space that we have there. But everything's cool, everything's fine, man. I have got a plan. The one challenge that I had was to go ahead and mate up the transmission. Here we are. The hardest part is just getting the transmission up. And yeah, granted, we use a jack, but to get the transmission on a jack is just difficult in and of itself. But once we got it up, we got it on, got it together. But I'll tell you what, man, the engine and the transmission did not want to go together fully. I don't know what was stopping it. It was getting some resistance, and eventually I just kind of went ahead and found some longer bolts and kind of pulled the engine and the tranny together. After about 2 nights of sitting and stewing on that, just now, actually for the last 3 hours, I took everything back apart, took the clutch off, actually went in, removed the old pilot bushing and put a brand new pilot bushing in, and these two went together like hot butter, man. It was beautiful, it was perfect. So we are now completely back in. Now, with this engine mount kit, let me show you something. The engine mount kit worked out really well. You can see here there's a little bit of wiggle room that's made right there for the bolt hole, and that's actually there for very good reason. That same wiggle room does not exist on the other side. You can see that this motor mount is actually side to side. Once this thing's in, you can see here the pulley is right behind this support for the radiator core support. When you're trying to actually tighten down the flywheel and the clutch and torque it to specs, there's no way to hold this still. So those little holes on both sides allow you to turn the engine caddy corner like this and get a wrench onto the front crank pulley here and be able to torque everything in the back. So all good, all fine. If you look at the series of tweets throughout the weekend, I've already got the intercooler installed. Looking very cool, very fine, and all the piping's actually done also to get up to both sides of the engine. Not only the intake side, but the hot side. There's the piping right there, all ready to go. And ordered like a kit of a bunch of random pieces of 3-inch tubing. There was 2 pieces with 45-degree angles, 2 pieces with 90-degree angles, and 2 pieces with 60-degree angles. And just by using all those different elbows that were supplied, we were able to cut and mix and match and make the pieces that we needed. It all fits really, really, really well. So super cool and awesome with that. This engine is actually sitting really well inside the engine bay, front to back. It's very balanced. It doesn't look like it fits under the hood, man. If you look, like, you could definitely see some sticking out there. But I've already tried placing the hood on, and it fits just perfectly, man. It's scary how perfect it fits, but it fits just perfect. Already on the way is the new radiator, which is going to be awesome. But I'll tell you what, there's one thing about the way that this thing fits that I have tried my best to work around, but I cannot seem to work around it. If you are a Z guy and you know what you're looking at, you could look right here and you could see already something is not right. That's right, you see this clip right here? That clip is actually designed to be on the other side because this transmission mount is in backwards. That is the only way it would fit. If it was around the other way, the way it's supposed to be, it would not fit. The bolt holes were too far forward, so the piece was too far back. I tried so many times, or so many different ways to try and give myself an extra ½ an inch by pulling the engine forward, and it wouldn't go, man. The bolt holes in the engine mounts are lined up exactly where they're supposed to be. Everything was installed exactly how it's supposed to be. I didn't do anything wrong. Everything is exactly how it's supposed to be. I think this kit was just made with the transmission support backwards. What does that mean? That means that I have already test fit my drive shaft and it does not fit, man. I have to take a ½ an inch out of the drive shaft, and that's fine, man. I can work through that. I think it's actually worth everything, considering that this thing fits really, really well. It looks fine. It looks great. It fits under the hood. In fact, if it was another ½ an inch forward, I'm really not certain that it would fit under the hood as well as it does now. So I'm fine with modifying the drive shaft. In fact, we have a one-piece drive shaft that has a wonky U-joint, so I'll probably take that, have the U-joint repaired, and at the same time have them cut about ½ an inch out of the shaft, and everything's gonna be super cool, super fine. Man, I'm sorry. I got pumped, I got motivated. If you want to catch up, you're gonna have to go back and look through the Twitter feed. It was pretty cool. Some of you guys were responding. It was really kind of fun and made it good. I was just motivated, had the music blasting. It was Memorial Day weekend, so I had an extended weekend just to sit and get dirty and gritty and really sore. But it's in. And we are so close to being able to fire it up. In fact, all things considered, we are just a amount of wiring and putting some oil in it from being able to fire it up. You can see I basically left it just coming through here. I haven't tacked it down. It's just coiled up right here. The lines are back in, the clutch line's in, everything's good to go. But the wiring harness, I want to go ahead and fit it all across all of the engine first. And then we'll figure out how much do I actually want in the engine bay. And whatever I don't want, I can tuck back under the dash area. So that'll be really cool, really fine. So I'll tell you what, why don't I go ahead and get busy and wire this engine up? So it's been several days later, like probably 2 days later since the first part of this. I had every intent of doing something like a hyperlapse, like a time lapse of doing all the wiring and stuff. But to be honest, doing a wire tuck it's intricate work, man. It's really intricate work to figure out where you can gain an inch, lose an inch. Those little intricacies of really doing wire tucking takes its toll. So I did all the wiring and then some, man. So we've had tons of success and one really, really sick, nasty fail. And yeah, let's go check all that out. So one thing you can see right off the bat is that the VG is now on the engine stand. Took it off the tires and yeah, just needed to create some more room inside the garage because man, it was just getting out of control. Got the engine covered up in a blanket. Right now I actually have the headlights sitting in. They're not bolted in. I just have the front end on. But man, this thing is looking sick, looking sharp. And if you look in here, oh snap. That's right, we got an oil cooler. But check this out, man. Oh yeah. So the intercooler piping for the passenger side, all the clamps are on there, everything's ready to go. Driver's side, isn't done yet, and the reason why is because I'm still not, well, for one, the hot pipe isn't totally bolted in, and I still don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing for the air filters, so trying to figure that out. But you can see all the hosing, the cover's done, all of the wiring is done. Everything is tucked, everything's super clean. You can see where I brought it through there. It comes back around. I mean, everything is super clean. The one thing we got to work out now is the fuel lines, the brake booster line. We got to install the throttle cable, and oh, check this out too, man. Alternator and power steering pump. And man, this power steering pump, it fits like crazy close. But everything's gonna be fine, man. It's totally solid. Nothing is gonna be happening with this thing, so really pumped, really psyched. Let me take this front end off real quick, and I'm gonna show you the oil cooler setup. All right, here we go with everything off on the front, and yeah, man, loving the way it's looking. Loving the way it's looking. Again, the headlights aren't even bolted in, they're just sitting in the buckets. And I did that because while I was cleaning the garage, I didn't want to take a chance of them getting cracked or messed up or anything like that. So that is all good and all fine. But check this out. If we look down in there, you can see they're running down along here, and then they're tucking down into there. This thing mounted up sweet. So we got the lines coming in right there, picking up on the fuel, or on the oil cooler, and everything's good to go. This right here is actually a piece of metal that was actually bent downwards, and this is where you would mount a little extra bracket that would then connect to the window washer fluid reservoir. So this wasn't really needed. All I did was bend it up at a 90-degree angle. Perfect mounting point for the oil cooler here. And then I drilled a small hole right through there with a little spacer, and yeah, that was perfect mounting point for that. So this thing is super solid, not going anywhere. And because we don't have our fog light buckets, and we're using ducts, or yeah, cowling ducts for that, we're gonna pull air right into the cooler. Now, regardless, I had to get a new solution for the window washer reservoir because our intercooler pipe actually goes right up through where the reservoir would be. So that is a new thing, a new challenge that we need to work out. This is all a success, man. So much good stuff going on. So pumped, so excited. But check this out. See this little dented area right here in my garage door? Let me tell you a story. Friday night, I was working hard in the garage, doing a lot of work on this, getting the wiring done, feeling really, Friday was, oh yeah, I had to take the engine and the transmission apart and redo the pilot bushing, and everything was good. Felt really good about it. Everything turned out great. It was late, I was tired. The engine hoist had to hold the RB in place, so all I did was kind of scoot it into the corner of the garage right here, went in for the night, etc., etc. Saturday morning, I'm doing more work here in the garage. Saturday afternoon, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna open up the garage, let some of the breeze in because it was raining, and the garage door started to open, and it grabbed one of the sides of the engine hoist, and it started to lift it off the ground. The garage door started opening, and it stopped, and I freaked out. And so I'm jamming on the button back there, trying to get it to stop, and it stopped. And so I pushed the button to try and make it go back down. It just kept going up. So I stopped it again. And now I know why it wasn't going back down, because the stupid little laser thing was probably triggered and it wouldn't let the door go down. Every time I pushed it to make it go down, it made the door go up until eventually it had enough strength to topple the engine hoist. And unfortunately, we got our first major boo-boo, man. Ugh. Like, so freaking torqued about that, man. This is, let's see here. There's my thumb for comparison. It's huge, man. About 5-6 centimeters, 2 inches, 2.5 inches. It is, really torques my screws. And I feel like it was so preventable, man. Had I moved the hoist, had I not been jamming on the button, that's all right. We're gonna carry on, we're gonna get the car done. we'll take it back over to Scott over in IAA Paint Body. They should have my formula still on hand, and we'll get it taken care of. It turns out that this engine requires a drop resistor, which did not come with the engine. So I had to order that. That should probably be here in a couple days. Once that gets here, I'll be able to install it. Shout out to Wiring Specialties, because they actually make the harness so that the igniter chip and the drop resistor sit inside the car down by the ECU. Completely out of the elements, man. It's amazing. Once we get that drop resistor in there, put oil in the engine, dudes, I think we might start it. I think the next time we're together, we're gonna start it. And I don't know if that's going to be next TueZday Garage or in a few, because I got some business travel coming up that's going to take me out of town. Anyway, amici, talk to you later. Aloha and ciao a tutti. Bye-bye.